Hey everyone, and welcome to my craft room. My name's Julianne Richards and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator in southern Tasmania. This is the tutorial video for my March 2023 Fun Fold class. And just a reminder, if you're not a part of my VIP club and you'd like to be, please reach out and let me know. You save on your Fun Fold classes and you get the 6th class free. So at the time of recording this video, my Fun Fold class for 6 months basically costs you 117 Australian dollars. Unfortunately, just Australian customers at this stage. Yeah, if you're watching this video and you think you'd like to get in on these classes and save a bit of money, please consider joining my VIP club. Okay, so these are the 3 cards we've got this month. There's some nice ones here, a couple of newish ones, the ones on either side, and we're revisiting an old favourite, the triple cube card here in the middle. Going back to some of the favourite designer series paper from the current catalogue, this is the Perfectly Penciled, you might recognise, and this is the Sun Prints, which is really, really nice as well. This little one here is from the Rain and Shine, which is in the current annual catalogue. But yeah, we've got some nice bright papers here and a couple of cards for just about anyone, really. Okay, we might start with, let's start with the one in the middle, which is the one that's been causing not grief, but nerves amongst my regular ladies who think it might be a bit tricky to pop together. It is actually a triple cube pop-up card. So it basically folds flat like this and then folds open on display like, oh, it's not stuck together, hold on display like that. So yeah, so there's your cube in the back there and 2 cubes at the front with your sentiment sort of sneakily popped in the middle there. The only real, I suppose, fiddly part with this card is actually popping that sentiment in the middle, but I can show you a nice easy way of doing that as we go. So that is the card we're aiming at. I'm going to pop that aside for a moment. Okay, so, and I've just realised I haven't got that particular stamp set out, which is the one I want to use for the sentiment, but we'll go, I'll get that in a minute. So your kit should look something like this. Hopefully it's got all its bits. You've got a piece of cardstock here that's 8 1/4 long and 4 inches high, and it's been scored for you already so that it's going to roll up into a nice cube. But before we start, I'd probably suggest you burnish all those edges just in case, especially that little tab one at the end there, that might be a bit skinny. So there we are. So that's our tall tower, and then you've got 2 similar sort of scored panels, and these are our 2 smaller cubes. So what I suggest we do first, and if this is the first triple cube card you've made, or this is probably the easiest way to start, we're just going to pop some glue on this little tab, and we're going to glue that. If our glue decides, oh no, I've got a new one here somewhere, we might go to that. Oh, that one didn't last very long. Yeah, so we might pop it together first and then we can pop the designer series paper on. So just grab your glue and pop it on that little tag there. Okay, and bring your tag in and line it up with the other end of your cardstock and bring those together so they line up nicely. And got a bit too much glue there, which is usual with me. Okay, and then always do a test fold just to make sure that it folds flat in both directions. Nothing worse than getting your card all ready and then realising it won't fold flat to go into the envelope. Now the edge with the seam where they've joined is going to be the back of the card. So keep that in mind as you're working, that is the back. And the same goes for these ones as well. So let's pop these together. Again, I'm going to burnish them. Now, if you're a member of the VIP club, I have already popped a video showing how to pop this one together up there. I did it a wee while ago, just to give everyone a bit of forewarning. So if you need to watch something else, then pop there and do that. Okay, so we've got this one, same thing, bit of glue, hold it for a wee while till it sort of cures a little bit, and then we'll do our test fold. And again, this one with the seam is going to go at the back of our design. Let's do another one. Okay, so there we have our 3 cubes all together. So there we are. So the next thing we need to do is actually just glue them together like this. Okay, so as I say, this one is going to go with the seam, it's going to go at the back top or back bottom, it doesn't really matter too much, but pop some glue on the back of it and then line it up with the big cube, the tower, and line them up so that they match top, bottom and sides, so that they are lined up, because basically they are the same dimensions. Okay, so we've lined that up so that they're all matching, and then when it opens up you can see it's only glued to the bottom half. Okay, so again, apply the glue to the bottom where the seam is, or spin it round and attach it to your cube. Line them up so that they match in the middle and that it matches top and bottom, so it runs in a straight line all the way, and then that's this one done. Okay, there we are. So we've got our cube together. Okay, now you might find that a bit hard to see what I've done with that black cardstock. If you're, as I say, if you're a VIP club member, I already have a video up where I did it in a white cardstock, so it was much easier to see. But I think that's pretty evident what we've done there. Okay, so let's go to your designer series paper. Now I've pre-cut, and there should be 12 little squares of from our perfectly penciled. Now everyone, well, some of you will have a different patterns, obviously, because they don't put enough in a single paper. It's a single pack for everyone to have the same one. So some of you will have, you'll have one that's got small flowers on the front, so it'll be small flowers like this, or it'll be small, even smaller little delicate flowers. And then you'll have one that has a sort of a, what's in the back of that? You have one that is sort of like a pattern in black on the other side. So you sort of have to decide, and it's really up to you guys what you want to do. I'm going to have this crosshatch pattern as the as one side of the paper, and I'm going to use these little flowers on facing upwards as well. So you should have six of each. So I'll show you where they're going to go. The ones that you've chosen with the black geometric shapes is going to be inside there, and inside there. You can see it inside. And the ones with the small flowers, whichever one you've chosen, is going to be on the outside. Okay, so that will hopefully help you decide which way to go. So one with a geometric pattern on the inside and something with some nice small flowers on the outside. So that's why I've chosen that way to go. Okay, so let's pop. We'll start with our geometric shape one. Now, where this one needs to go is you've got to sort of imagine all the faces that a person will see when they're looking at the card. Okay, so if they're looking at the card and inside faces, they're going to see that face and that face inside. They're also going to see the bottom of there and the back. Okay, so unless they do some sort of contortion, they're not going to see up and under and around there. They're only going to see those 6 faces that we've just pointed out. So they're the 6 faces that we're going to pop our designer series paper on. So as we said, inside of the tall tower at the back, just grab it. Best thing to use our glue when you're putting these in, because obviously you're going to have a wee bit of a fiddle to get them in the right position. Now once you've made a few of these cards, you might find it easier to actually pop this paper on before you've got the card together. Now, don't know even if I could do that at this stage, visualizing what the card's going to look like finished. So I personally think it's a lot easier to do it at this stage, even though you are working on the inside of the card to a certain degree. So that's our 2 back ones. And then we've got these ones. So as we said, the back, sometimes a bit hard to know which angle to come in from. The back of there. And back of there. If you can hear my husband outside with his shovel. Anyway, using the microphone on my webcam rather than my normal headset, because my normal headset basically died. So I'm going to have to get a new one. But I thought just for this we'll use, so I can get it done, we'll use the microphone. And I'm trying to not mutter. We'll see how that goes. Okay, so then that one's on the bottom. And then our last one will go on the bottom of the other side. Here we are. Okay, so as we say, all the faces that somebody can conceivably see just looking straight at the card, all the inside ones. Okay, so now we're going to do the front facing outside ones. We're going to use the little flowers as we discussed. So you're going to pop, this time you're going to pop one. If you fold the card down like this, which is how it's going to go in its envelope, we're just going to pop a piece of designer series paper on all these frontward facing surfaces. Try and line them up with each other lengthways and longways if you can. Yeah. It doesn't really matter too much if you can't get them to match the pattern across, because we're not going to see them all in the same plane anyway. decision you need to make at this stage is whether you want to leave it as a plain black and white, which is what we've got here, or whether you want to bring in a wee bit of colour. And I'll show you what I mean now with the original card. You can see that's just plain black and white there. But with the original card, I grabbed my red, real red blending pen or marker, and I just basically coloured one random flower, even just a part flower, on each of those surfaces just to give it a wee bit of colour. So you can decide whether you want to do that or not. You can leave it, have just a splash of colour now and then, or just leave it as a plain black and white. I might leave this one as a plain black and white so we can compare the two later and you can work out which one you prefer. Okay, so that is all our designer series paper. So as you can see, all the faces that you can see when the card is on display have got designer series paper on them. So as long as somebody doesn't come up from the bottom, look at it from upside down, you're pretty much covered. Okay, so that's it there. Now you have in your kit as well a piece of white design cardstock, and this is going to be on the back of the design for your personal message. So just flip it round, just whichever panel you decide to pop it on the back of, and that is where you're going to put the personal message. Now if you like, and I've just thought of this myself, you could cut one similar size and pop it on the other back as well, so you have the whole back covered. Never even thought of that, but anyway, that's a possibility if you like to have that white all over the back. And so that's for your personal message. You can stamp that with a follow-on sentiment or something like that. Okay, now this is the last part of this card. No bling on this card because I feel that it's quite thick enough and it's got enough features. Now you have two pieces of black cardstock, and they are 2 inches long and 3/4 of an inch high, and they've been scored at 3/4 of an inch. So they are going to be the little brackets that we attach that tricky little internal sentiment box to. Okay, so let's see if I can remember what I thought was the easiest way of doing this. Grab your card, close it down so it looks like that. It looks like, I don't know, what does it look like? A pair of binoculars or something. You're looking down the barrel there of those two open cubes, back on back. Okay, we're going to grab one of our little tabs and pop some glue on the longer of the two surfaces. So that's the short one, so you put some glue on the long one. And bring your card back in, as I say, held like it's a pair of binoculars, and pop that, the bit you've got the glue on, inside the cube. Now what you need to do is make sure that it's about the center somewhere and that the score lines up with the edge of the cardstock between the two, so like that. Okay, so it's in there, it's glued to the inside the card, inside the cube, there where my inside finger is, and the score line is flush with the edges of those two cubes there. Okay, we can see that. Okay, same thing with the other one, and we're going to line them up with each other. A bit of glue on the longer of the two tabs. Bring your card in, pop it in, and line it up with the other one so that they are roughly at the same place, and the scores are even with the edge. Okay, so that's pretty good there. And you can see there that little flat surface, which is made of those two tabs, that little flat surface there is where we're going to stick our sentiment box. So those two, that flat surface that goes across there will stick to the back of our sentiment box. But we need to stamp our sentiment on it first. Okay, so we'll pop that aside for the minute, just let those dry a wee bit. We're going to grab, I haven't grabbed the sentiment that I wanted to use, I'll just grab it now. She says wandering away. Here we are. I wanted to use the Season of Chic stamp set for the sentiment here. And the reason I wanted to use that is that I want to use this little flower here, because just to give it a splash of colour, I wanted to use my Real Red stamp ink. Grab this little flower out, just a little outline, wherever it be. Where are you? There it is. Grab our little hexagon. Now this little hexagon is from the Beautiful Shapes dies. So I'm going to grab a block, my Real Red ink. Now Real Red is exactly what it says in the box. It's pretty dark. I'll just grab a scrap of cardstock and stamp it off once, and then stamp it onto the hexagon, and that just gives it a sort of a nice real red flower, but slightly less dark than if you went all the way, first ink. Then I'm going to use Wishing You the Best Birthday Ever. This is also from the Season of Chic. Now the idea with this class that I do every month is that you can use whatever sentiment you would like to. So there's nothing to say you've got to have the Season of Chic stamp set, and there's nothing to say you have to use this particular sentiment. Entirely up to you. As long as it fits the sentiment box, you're perfectly fine. Now I've got to work out yet. So I want the hexagon this way. So there are two parallel vertical surfaces, edges are up and down. So that's the way we want just so it'll fit nicely in the inside of the card. And we're going to pop the sentiment just over our flower. Wishing you the best birthday ever. Now you don't have to put that flower behind if you don't want to, especially since we've left this one blank, black and white. Probably really didn't need the extra colour, because we didn't put the colour that we've popped on those. But let's see, we just did it anyway. So we're going to open that card again we're going to open the card the way we did it before. Pop some glue on that one and that one. Bring in our sentiment and pop it on the tabs. Okay. And there we are. So give that a chance to dry, obviously, because that will need a chance to set in place, but there we are. And it will wiggle around a bit. Don't want it to wiggle around a bit too much. There we are. Okay, that's the inside done. So there's our inside. And obviously that little sentiment, when we close the card down, that little sentiment is hidden away behind, and it doesn't pop out until the card pops out like that. Okay, so that is card number 1. Maybe watch that a couple of times before you plough onto that card, just so you've got the procedure or the method down pat before you head off into it. But that's our triple cube pop-up card. Okay, we'll pop that one away. And as I say, grab a pen and add some red to it if you want just a pop of colour, or just leave it plain black and white. It's really your own preference. Pop that one away. Okay, so let's do another card. We've got this one here. This is a nice blue one. It uses the C, I think it was the C prints, P-R-I-N-T-S, not prince as in the son of a king, but print as in a print. And so this one opens up. It's sort of like a gatefold card, and it's got the sort of alternating panels there that sort of interlock when the card is closed. Not really sure what you'd call that. But anyway, it's a nice one, and it's in my favourite colour. It's blue, you can see, in my favourite colour. Okay, so in your kit should look something like this, or hopefully very much like this. You've got the card base, which is 8 inches long and 4, maybe 4 1/8, I'm not quite sure now, tall, and it's scored at 2 and 6, and the two edges meet in the middle like that. Okay, then you've got various panels. You've got a panel of grey granite. I think it's grey granite. I'll check. Yes. Got a panel of grey granite that's going to pop on the inside, and then a panel of white that's going to sit over the top of that. We might as well pop those on now. So we've got grey granite first. And I really like putting the layers on the inside as well. I don't do it very often, so it does add to the width of the card, or the width of the card. But in this case, I think it adds. We'll put our white panel on top of that. Okay, there we are. Then you've got a couple of panels, another couple of panels or layers of grey granite, and a couple of panels of the beautiful Sun Prints Designer Series paper, and they're just begging to go together. So you'll have one piece of Designer Series paper that has a sort of leaf design on it, which is this one here. There'll be different designs, but they'll have a white leaf on them. And you'll have one that's sort of a tone on tone. So you might have this one, you might have the different one. I think the one that's on this original card. So pop that on the other one with the tone on tone pattern facing upwards. Unless you actually absolutely fall in love with the other side, in which case it's entirely up to you which side you decide on. But I'm going like this. Okay, then we bring back our card base, and these two panels are going to sit on the front like this. One of them is going to, and it doesn't really matter which way you go, one of them is going to attach to the right hand gate, and the other one is going to attach to the left hand gate. So yeah, don't attach them to both the same side, but one to one and one to the other. So I'm going to pop this one, the top one, on the right hand gate. So just glue on the right hand half, bring it into the card and secure it in place. So give yourself the same sort of gap at the top as you have at the sides, so that sort of 1/8, 1/4 of an inch sort of thing. So it's just the same all the way around. Stephen's looking for something in the kitchen, and I know he's going to not be able to find it. Okay, so the other one is going to go onto the left hand gate. Close that down and glue it. And again, same sort of distance top at the bottom that you have on the sides, and that gives you a nice gap in between the two as well. Same sort of gap. That's the way I've measured it. So you get that same sort of gap between them as you have top and bottom, and they sort of open like that and interweave like that. Okay, there we are. That one's getting there, isn't it? Okay, so you've also got this is an oval from the double oval punch in white, and the serrated oval is in Night of Navy. So we're going to use that for our sentiment. Now I'm going to use from the Irresistible Blooms, I'm going to use Hooray, It's Your Day. It fits pretty nicely in that oval. And I'm going to use my Night of Navy because that's what I've used in everything else, if I can find it. There we go. I should have got it out before. Night of Navy. Okay, we'll attach this one with some glue to the serrated oval. I love this punch. Use it a lot. Just so easy, especially when you're doing a lot of cards. It's very, very easy just to churn them out. And quite cute too. Okay, so then I'm going to, you've got a piece of this wonderful Night of Navy ribbon in your kit. So I'm going to attach that underneath our sentiment box and trim it down so it just sneaks a little look out. So I'm going to pop the sentiment box onto some dimensionals. Probably use a few more dimensionals than I would probably normally use because we want to be able to trap that. We want to trap that ribbon as well. Just fold it over so it crosses. It's two little legs crossed like that, and then we'll pop it the way we want it to go, sort of coming from top right to bottom left, and attach that there. It needs another dimensional to trap it even better. So yeah, don't skimp on the dimensionals there because you need to get that in place. Okay, I'm going to pop it on and see whether it's a bit long, and then I can trim it down once I know. So I'm going to pop that on there. Now, no, I haven't put enough angle on that, so just bear with me. I'm going to rip it off very carefully, put a bit more angle on it. That's better, and then I can trim some off where it overlaps the bottom of the card. We'll just trim some off there. It's not the best scissors, we'll try the other one. There we are. Okay, and you should have some bling in your pack as well. Some 3 little white dots. We're going to pop those around as well. There we are. There we are. Okay, so that's our gatefold there as well. Really nice one. I like that blue and I love that paper. Okay, so that's card number 2. Okay, so let's go on to card number 3. This is a really nice little card as well, a little bit more feminine than the last one. It's got some lovely, and that's our pretty wisteria dies there as well, just making that pretty flower on the front there. Okay, so let's have a look what we've got for this one. Okay, so it's a little bit different. It's on a card base just at the back. It's got an open here. I mean, it must be the time for the day for gatefolds, mustn't it? This one opens up like that. It's got some designer series paper on the inside and on the outside. I've just realised I don't know whether I've given myself all those pieces. I haven't. I have to cut myself another piece, but yes, I've got paper on the inside and the outside, and then our beautiful wisteria as well. Okay, so let's get started. So you've got a normal sort of white flat piece of cardstock. That's for the card base back. Then you've got 2 thinner pieces of flirty flamingo. We're going to pop those on either end of the piece of white cardstock. One, so just the slightest border left on the right and the top and the bottom on that side, and then the same, just the slightest border on the left hand side. There we are. Okay, so in between those two is going to sit our little gate fold here, and it should line up top and bottom exactly with the back base, the back of the card. We're just going to pop some glue on the back of that. And in the middle, as best as you can, you should cover over the edges of the 2 pieces of flirty flamingo, so it looks like it's a continuous colour in the background there. So the same sort of gap either side, you should cover over the 2 edges. I might give that a bit of a burnish. It's not sitting down as it should. I'm going to put my bone folder. Oh, I've got bone folders everywhere. Can't find one. Here it is. There we are. Okay, next thing we're going to do is pop in our designer series paper. Now, if I've cut it correctly, you should have some designer series paper for the inside and the outside, so there should be 4 pieces. If you haven't, please yell, because if I've done the same to you as I did to me, I may have shortchanged you. But I will send you some if you haven't got all of them. And this one. Okay, and as I say, 2 more pieces should go on the inside as well, so as long as you've got those. Okay, there we are. Right, keep ploughing on. We've got a large square of white cardstock and a smaller piece that has been embellished, or embossed embossed, it's been popped through an embossing folder. This is one of the embossing folders from the online exclusives basic 3D embossing. It's a really nice little geometric design. This one's going to the embossed one, which just goes straight onto the top of the plain one. You have a bit of a plain border all the way around. And that is going to sit just on one half of our front gate. So positioned so that it looks the same all the way around, but only glued to the left-hand side. We'll pop some glue on the left-hand side. So it's very similar actually, isn't it? I haven't really strayed far from the same design this class. You get lots of practice. And we're going to pop that just on the center there like that, but just so that it's glued to the left-hand side. There we are. Okay, last thing to do with this one is to, or second last, is to make our little, assemble our little wisteria. We might have to pop out a few extra bits there if I haven't weeded it, which I don't think I have. And then we need to glue these together. Now, you have a bit of a play with these two pieces. They should click together or sit together really well. I don't know if you noticed at the top of this one, there's sort of like a big round blob, and there's a similar sized blob on this one on the left-hand side. So that blob sits on top of the other blob, so they match up. And then the bottom of the flower, they should match up as well. So the bottom, they match, and the two top blobs match, and that's how you want to stick them together. So I'm just going to pop a wee bit of glue on the larger parts of the, well, a wee bit of glue never goes quite right, just on the larger bits. It doesn't have to be glued to last centuries, but just long enough. And again, as I say, that little, the bottom of the flower should match, and those two circular pieces at the top should match as well. And then you know it's fitting together properly, and it gives that lovely coverage. Okay, and you've also got some leaves. Now I'll show you where these are going to sit, and then you can see where you need to put the glue and where not to put the glue. So the leaves are going to sit, that's the stalk that comes off to the left, and so it sits across the top of that little square that we've popped on. It's going to sit across there. So as you can see, some of those leaves are not going to be attached to anything, so don't put any glue on them. I think the safest thing is just basically stick to putting glue. My glue's decided to clog up no end. For a new glue, that's not, for a new glue, it's not behaving itself, is it? Okay. Just pop some glue, basically stick to the stems and the lower leaves. Okay, so the leaves below the stem, and then that they will sit on the card properly. Okay. There we are. So no glue on those ones that are suspended in thin air there. Now we're going to bring in our lovely wisteria flower, and again we're just going to pop some glue on the larger parts and bring that in there. Okay. Cool. Okay, so now we've got the last thing to do is our sentiment and some bling. I know I've got some bling here somewhere. Our sentiment I'm going to use from my favourite framed florets. I'm going to use just a little reminder that you are loved. I haven't popped that properly. I use it so often. Pop that on there. I'm going to use just black ink because I think this card is so lovely and soft. I think the black would stand out nicely. Now you've just got a piece of, I think this is about 3/4 of an inch wide and about 3 inches long, maybe 2.5. So I've just left it sort of fairly plain, just so you can pop whatever sentiment you want. You don't have to use mine. Whatever sentiment you would like. Now you can leave that plain if you want, just as a plain rectangle. And I'm going to grab my banner punch and I'm going to banner both ends. There we are. Just makes it a bit specialer, a bit more special there. Okay, grab some dimensionals and that's going to sit just across the bottom of the card. Now make sure when you pop your sentiment on that it doesn't extend any further than that fold. If you imagine if you've got your sentiment, no, that fold, if you were doing it on that side, if you're opening it up, you don't want it to crash into the bottom. That won't be a problem because we're actually putting it on the right hand side. We'll grab some dimensionals. Now, although saying that, I'm not going to put a dimensional right at the very end because it's going to be hanging in midair. So I'm going to start the dimensionals probably about 2/3 of the way along. Just pop a couple there. Okay, pop that there. No dimensional there where it's overlapping the edge. Okay, last thing, some bling. Now these are our iridescent gems or jewels. Just absolutely stunning. Use them a lot. Love them, love them, love them, as you probably know. And I'm going to pop those, just 3 of those, around the card. Okay, so that is card number 3 from my Fun Fold class for March. I hope you enjoy those. As I say, if you haven't done my classes before and you'd like to, please yell out. You can email me if you're watching on my Facebook page. You can email me, or if you're on my Facebook, pop over and find me on Facebook as well. The links are all in the video description. Okay, so that's our 3 cards. We have our pretty Wisteria, we have our lovely blue gatefold, and we have a pretty special triple cube pop-up. Excellent. All right, so I hope you've enjoyed that. Have a great day, and hopefully see you all back again next month.